Xin Chao, everyone, and welcome to Monday, April 22nd, 2024. It's Earth Day. I'm Joe Pratt, keeping you informed of what's happening in the world. And happy birthday if it's yours today. Let us know if it is in your birthday in the comments below. And you share a birthday with Immanuel Kant, one of the great philosophers, Robert Oppenheimer, Eddie Albert, Glenn Campbell, Jack Nicholson, he's 87 today, and Peter Frampton. While we're all waiting to see if Israel will continue to retaliate against Iran and the status of the Israel-Hamas war conflict, there continues to be protests on college campuses. Columbia University is being criticized for anti-Semitic protests that have chants like, "We are Hamas," and a sign pointing to Jewish students that states Al-Qassam's next target, and "We don't want no Zionists here." Now, I have to point out that since this is on a college campus, they need to work on their English, okay? Because "we don't want no Zionists here" is a double negative. That means you do want Zionists here. Anyway, the demonstrators occupied a part of campus for over 30 hours, sort of a encampment with tents in violation of the university's rules, and they didn't leave despite numerous warnings to do so. Over 100 people were arrested. They closed in-person classes at Columbia and are doing everything online right now. Yale and Harvard are also holding protests. Most of the protests are pro-Palestinian, but there are a few counter-Israeli or pro-Israeli counter-protests. Trump's trial begins with opening statements today. The prosecution says this is election fraud, pure and simple, and the defense says that none of this was a crime. Trump gets to hear differing views of his personality and persona. Sam Orbovich of St. Paul, Minnesota is lucky to be alive today. During rush hour traffic, his SUV struck a light pole and then the guardrail, and it burst into flames. Mr. Orbovich, who is 71 years old, couldn't get out of his car because it was pinned up against the guardrail. A handful of good Samaritans rushed into action and got the man out of the burning car, and he was able to get to the hospital and was treated for only minor injuries. A couple scientific studies done recently that I thought were interesting. A study done at Stanford and published in the Psychiatry Research paper shows that a ketogenic diet can help in treating mental illness. Some of the drugs that are used to treat mental illness can cause insulin resistance and obesity. So a ketogenic diet helps in regulating weight gain and blood sugar levels, insulin resistance, and it helps in the mental illness itself, even without taking medication. Now, this is a small study, just 21 participants, but it might hold some promise. And a study with mice shows that when they are given an antioxidant supplement in their diet, they improve in spatial cognition, age-related muscle decline, and short-term memory. In sports, in Formula One racing yesterday, Max Verstappen won the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai. This is Verstappen's fourth victory in 5 races this season. In golf, Scotty Scheffler won the RBC Heritage Tournament just a week after he won the Masters Tournament. That's the first time since 1985 that someone has won the Masters and then won the very next week. Bernard Longer was the last to do that in 1985. I don't put a lot of stock in the various industries' Hall of Fames because I think that sometimes they're political and don't always represent well the industries that they are trying to promote. But to keep you informed, in music, several artists were elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mary Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, Ozzy Osbourne, Dave Matthews Band, Peter Frampton, Foreigner, Kool and the Gang, and Cher. Now, Cher is the only artist to have a #1 song in each of the past 6 decades. Make that 7 now. We'll call it 7, as she had a Christmas album that yielded a #1 hit just this last year. Now, in fairness, not all of those have topped the Hot 100, but some have been on the dance or electronic list or the adult contemporary list or what have you. But here's her list of #1s. Okay, in the 60s, it was I Got You, Babe. 70s was Half Breed, Dark Lady, and Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. 80s was After All, and If I Could Turn Back Time. 90s was Believe. 2000s was A Different Kind of Love Song. And 2010s was You Haven't Seen the Last of Me. And 2020s was, as I mentioned, DJ, Play Me a Christmas Song. In religion, today's quote from sacred texts comes from the Tao Te Ching. Quote, "In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep it simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. And in family life, be completely present." A sign in a hospital I thought was interesting. It reads, "A wise doctor once wrote," and then there's a bunch of squiggly lines underneath. Joe Pratt, make it a great day.